Okay, in this video I'm going to show the finished particle systems that I have running in the game. And these are the particle systems that get triggered when you shoot a projectile at the enemies and they break apart. So I added something simple as an effect. And as you can see, there's different little textures I use. There's an ember effect over here, a spark. And then this fade lookup is used to change the color of the sparks and the embers over time so that eventually it fades out. And over here I have smoke that I animate. And again, if I didn't describe it earlier, everything's done on the GPU, so there's no interaction between the CPU and the GPU to generate these, besides setting the parameters in the vertex shader for the particle properties. But essentially in the shader, I fetch the right texture coordinates, or I generate them to get the proper frame that I need for the smoke. So in the video you'll see it animating as time goes by and the particle also fading. But I'll show that in the second part of the video. Now I'd like to show the scripting language that I use. And here you can change the behavior of the particles by adding different effectors and changing the properties. So the spark effector will have different parameters, and in that case it'll behave much more differently than the smoke. But the benefit is I write these once and then you can just create different effects by adding, again, different properties. And so it's similar to the entity component system where the components and the systems dictate how the entity is going to behave, so then you can just swap things out. So it makes things really flexible. I only write these once and then I can change and experiment really quickly without having to write any additional code. So that's pretty much how you would do in a particle. And I pretty much, if you're asking me how I came up with these, I looked at different engines and saw what properties they had, and then based on that I came up with some things based on the other engines and what they had. So sometimes I went in their direction, other times I had other ideas and I added my own things as things went along. So in the second part of this video I'll show the effect in the engine, and then we can see all this put together as the final product. So I'll show that in the second part of the video. So here I have the characters running as always, and you can see the particle effects that I showed earlier happening. And they happen randomly. So sometimes they happen, other times they don't, and in different combinations so that we can get a little bit of variety. So hopefully I can trigger the smoke. Yeah, there you can see some smoke fading and animating. Hopefully you can see that. I mean, it happens pretty quick. But I was going for some fairly simple effects and something that wouldn't like overpower the rest of the scene. So I did something that would look reasonably attractive but not take away from everything else that's going on in the scene. And again, I'm using Metal, the Metal API to do all this, and again it's all being done in the shader, so the particles are being oriented in the shader and all the properties are also being used in the shader to generate the particles. I don't use the CPU to come up with all this, so it should be a lot quicker since there's no interaction between the CPU and the GPU. It's all happening in the shader. So I'll have it run through one more time so that we can see the effects. Here we go. And I think if you see the sparks, they also react with the ground, so each one does a collision. With the smoke, I may make it lighter, or I may keep it as it is so that it stands out a little bit better. I'm still deciding what I'm going to do with that. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to make it too big so that it would block the scene. So I'm more or less happy with it. I just perhaps do a little bit more work or leave it alone. We'll see what I do. But that's what I've been working on, as well as preparing the levels. And probably I'll keep showing the level chunks as I prepare them for getting into the game engine. And eventually I'll have everything up and running with all the levels running. And that'll be pretty cool because then you can start seeing the the game coming together. But I guess this is the final thing tech-wise that I need to do for the game in terms of in terms of graphics tech that I've been working on. I have enough now where I don't need to write more tech to get this game sort of done engine-wise. The engine's fairly complete. They probably just need, just to do optimizations or just to do tuning here and there. So the next videos from now on, will be showing me getting everything together and having the game come together, which it's been a long time coming. So I'm happy about that. But the next videos, I'll probably be showing the level chunks. So that's pretty much it for now. And the particle systems. Thanks and bye.